Young men, more than any demographic of our time, are hungry for not just meaning, but practical understanding of abstract concepts. The mediums from which this desire is realized have changed greatly, but the desire for understanding itself has not. Many people fall on the sword of the simplest definition, without grasping tone itself, without understanding the undercurrents that motivate definitions and stories. If one understands the nature, not the mechanism of something, they can reverse engineer a blueprint to practical truths. But man foolishly believes that with merely blueprints, he can understand the nature of himself and the cosmos. He takes a glance at a movement, a field of science, or a psychological driver, and worships the mechanism itself. He becomes drunk on his own understanding, or lack thereof, all in pursuit of relief from what he may never understand with a rational mind. Because of this, man loses meaning. He relates to machines, concepts, and objects, and he begins to see others as more or less the same, never seeing the mechanistic wheels of fate that churn energetically, symbolically, and subtly beneath the thin veil of modernity and rational thought. There is nothing rational about death, and even less so about living. Yet we are given seemingly simple and well-intentioned blueprints for how to survive, but never how to live, or what living truly means. Humans do not like change, and yet everything around us echoes a reality of constant death and transformation, of incessant change, of persistent unfolding of consciousness. We evolve not by adding anything, but by removing what did not belong. So society, purpose, and goals feel less like a path and more like a trek through a desert, under a sun with no shadow, a moon with no stars, and a land with no water. We have rejected the emotional. We have rejected the human. We have rejected the work we have been summoned to do. Because what lurks beneath the sands of time is depth. And to go deep, you must first descend. The world and the person you know must die to find the waters beneath the relentless sun of meaning. Vinland Saga is not about glorifying pacifism, revenge, or redemption, but an allegory for the birthing pains of a boy's journey into the cold realities and dualities of adulthood. Whether we like it or not, the general direction of a man's life is defined not by what he wants to be true or hopes to be true, but by what is true and what must be faced. For so long, man has been primarily the subject of external drivers: great wars, storms and famines, diseases, madness, and fear. Man did not personify these out of ignorance. They personified them because the true language of man is story, symbol, and song. They lived what they embodied not because they wanted it to be true. They had suffering with little mechanistic understanding, but they had the essence, and from this derived a blueprint for meaning. The great and understated burden of the modern man isn't just the loss of myth or meaning, but identification with dead systems, beliefs, and ways of living. We don't solve wars, we control them. We don't solve hunger, we eliminate hungry mouths. We don't dismantle broken systems, we build on top of them. We have the guts, the gears, and the materials, but no blueprints on how to be our own masons, our own builders. We have expedited the human spirit into an organized, soulless, and incomplete picture of its original intention. The work was never to conquer others. It was to conquer the natures of the energies that flow through man. All the horrors and injustices we face are merely a result of imbalance, not a failure to control others. This is easy to say and harder to live, as we are attacked by others, faced with threats, real or imagined. Humans have always operated from fear and illusion, believing that if they can bubble wrap or dominate the world, they may finally find peace. Vinland Saga echoes this well. An entire culture, an entire identity revolving around taking, dominating, and avenging, where salvation isn't found through peaceful commerce of ideas and goods, but through external implementation of will driven by fear and lack. Us versus them, tribe versus world, man versus God. In this setting, echoed in our own world, exists an unspoken language between men, a desire for brotherhood, bonding, and mutual learning, kept at distance by misunderstood expectations, insecurities, repressed desires, and societal obligations. Thorfinn's true nature was not that of a heartless killer, but a loving boy who wanted to emulate and become like his father, a boy who loved his mother, his people, and his life. But life takes as it gives. The world Thorfinn was born into was built on the very same experience that led to his father's death. The belief that only through cruelty and might could people realize the deepest longing of all civilizations, survival. If we do not take, someone else will. If we do not strike first, they will. This is proactive fear, proactive cruelty. To a child, the safety and relative peace we experience, if at all, was not earned through goodwill and kindness, but built on graves and broken dreams. The innocence of childhood isn't just knowing the world, but not understanding the cost required to maintain it. What happened to Thorfinn's father, ironically the most noble man in his village, is no different from what Thorfinn and his father did to others, taking and destroying something else to distract from the pain and fear of existence. Thorfinn's father didn't just sacrifice himself for his son, he sacrificed participation in a mad world. The modern man is expected to do something similar, to die on the battlefield of life, love, and meaning, to accept what others cannot, to endure what others cannot. Except in this age, there is no glory at the end of it, no honor, no promise of eternal reward, no promise of a tangible one either. Men are still expected to be fodder, as they always were, except now glory is absent, honor is a liability, and love is treated as an opportunity for cruelty. We realize our own utter powerlessness in the face of terrible greatness, and we are mocked for it. In our security, we forget the true cost of peace, and in witnessing the reemergence of hard times, we question whether the cycle is worth participating in at all. Look at the millions who sacrificed for the world we have today. How utterly demoralizing it is to witness. And even more horrible is not seeing God weep for us. Askeladd, in the story of Vinland Saga, represents many things. Most people read him as a morally gray antagonist. Some see him as a role model or a tragic character. But Askeladd embodies something many men face, yet cannot verbalize into coherent meaning. He's a man who understands that heroism is a story. He knows honor is a language you can speak without believing. He knows masculinity is a performance that other men desperately need to believe in. And he uses that knowledge to survive. Askeladd isn't enlightened, and he isn't virtuous. He's disillusioned. He doesn't stand outside the system to transcend it. He stands inside it, manipulating the beliefs of men who still need myth to function. He understands something that others don't. Violence doesn't give life meaning. It just gives men something to point at, so they don't have to look inward. Many men, despite knowing this exact truth, remain unable to escape their own prison, even when the door is unlocked. Thorfinn's tragedy isn't just that his father dies. It's that his entire sense of self is outsourced afterward. Revenge becomes his identity, his structure, his motivation. As long as Askeladd lives, Thorfinn doesn't have to ask who he is. He doesn't have to reckon with guilt, fear, or emptiness. He just has to hate. And hate is far more simple and seductive than the painful prospect of actually living in those inner realities instead of outsourcing them. Sound familiar? We have an entire world running on the same programming. Everyone casts shadows, but there is no depth. Everyone has a label or subject, but no real definition. This is why vengeance is so alluring. It doesn't just motivate, it replaces the self. Its nature is survival, but it is not living. And when people aren't living, they must be dying, one way or another. A surprise to Thorfinn, and a surprise to us, is that the removal of externalization through force, violence, or circumstance doesn't bring relief or understanding. It leaves us with an abyss that stares back. An abyss all men must gaze into, and from which none return the same, if they return at all. There is no catharsis, no triumph, no sense that anything was completed. Because what dies isn't the enemy. It is a necessary evolution of the soul. What dies is the narrative that made Thorfinn coherent. Suddenly, there's nothing left to point at. No villain to chase, no identity to inhabit, no story to carry him forward. This is the moment where most stories would introduce a new purpose, but Vinland Saga refuses. If right now your debt were removed, or some thorn in your side vanished, you would feel relief. But that relief is always followed by more fears, more protections, more justifications. The fervent mob of our time would gladly round up every head and tongue they believed responsible for their suffering. Yet from the outside, it's clear that no amount of heads would bring them any closer to truth or inner peace. It's like a dog chasing a mail truck. It doesn't know what to do if it catches it. Just reaction to deeper impulse. This is the state of most beings. Reaction, not action. To many, the farm arc is either the most impactful or the most uneventful arc in the series. The momentum slows, the pacing becomes introspective. The farm isn't just a place, it's an allegory for the mind and the seeds we plant in it. Will we plant wheat or propagate nightshade? Can we step back from intensity, from the need to always be right? Can we become free while enslaved? The body is our shackle, the ego our slave name, our thoughts the seeds and weeds. But with hands and with the promise of tomorrow, man can wield discernment and decide what is planted in his mind. No amount of destroying another's land will ever allow us to sow our own. This is not submission, but permission to be what you are, what you need, not what you are not, and not what you want. The farm arc isn't about learning peace. It's about being stripped of narrative. No enemies, no destiny, no honor, no audience. Only when Thorfinn is stripped of distraction, only when he finally sits with what has been building, is he able to begin walking towards something real. He's enslaved because he doesn't yet know how to exist without myth. He chooses constraint, discipline, participation in a cosmic system that cannot be escaped, whether he understands it or not. Thorfinn could escape easily, but he chooses to stay, to do what must be done, even if it isn't exciting. Some see this as self-punishment, but it is acceptance. Outward will and defiance have a cost and an endpoint. They are not meant to be the sole animating force of life, just as theory cannot replace lived experience. Are you so different? Choosing to remain in a system that consumes you, that takes from you? Thorfinn could have transferred his crusade to another enemy, another ideology. But unlike the typical archetype, he relinquishes his capacity for harm and chooses vulnerability, honesty, and restraint. Not war, not conquest, but the silent work of repairing his own field, his values, his meaning. He does this not in freedom, but in bondage. Ease and unearned realizations are often no more than rope to hang yourself with. A silver spoon is not a blessing. It's a spiritual procrastination. It does not matter whether the field is a 9-to-5 or a life of wandering. It is an interface for introspection, not a declaration of worth. It is the ability to endure responsibility without spectacle, choosing restraint without praise, choosing accountability without self-hatred, choosing to live without converting pain into dominance. Not blind pacifism, not weakness, but the work nobody wants to do. That is the backbone of anything strong, anything noble, anything lasting. Thorfinn did not arrive here through reading or fleeting motivation. He arrived through unappreciated inner work that slowly reshaped his external world. He created something real by living as something he was not. Feel no shame for what you have done. Feel no remorse for what you could have been. Each mistake forges what did not belong anyways. And this demands more of you than heroism ever did. Vinland's Saga isn't about anti-masculinity or pro-pacifism. It shows what strength looks like when no one is watching, when there's no enemy to define you, when no myth is there to catch you if you fail. And so I ask you, who are you when there are no heroes left?